Sega Saturn, if you all know me, is one of my favourite consoles ever. In fact, it's my second favourite console ever, very close to first, after the Nintendo 64. I grew up peak Sega Saturn. I got mine for the Christmas of 1996. I have loved this machine all my life and is an integral part of my gaming history. I absolutely love this machine. I'm glad I was there when it was out to experience it, and even to this day I still play it because to me this is just peak 90s, peak 3D, peak experimentation, and peak Sega. But one thing I haven't done on my channel is shown off my video game collection. I don't really, a lot of people use the word collection. It's hard to call your collection a collection when you've always owned it and you grew up with it and it's just always been there. These are just my games. So I thought it'd be a good idea to show off my Sega Saturn games to everyone here. And of course, with this being my channel, I always try to do things a little differently and make things a bit more entertaining when it comes to videos like this. So I thought I would try and show off my Sega Saturn games with a little rap. And I'm thinking, Clocked It by Crom, you cannot rap to save your life, which is why this should be both stupid, funny, educational, hilarious, and I hope you enjoy it. So, where to begin? Well, we've got Alien Trilogy. This game is nothing special, but keeps things close to that movie kind of level. We got Athlete Kings. This game is unreal. Played it way more than track and field. Atlantis. Ooh, a sexual point and click with FMV backgrounds that look pretty slick. We got Baku Animals, my favourite Saturn puzzle game. Motherren is what they used to say in the game. Blazing Tornado. Now this game is fat. Listen to this music. It sounds like Mortal Kombat. Where were we? Oh yeah, actually I think it's time to maybe try to introduce a small beat, maybe something Sega Saturn related, I don't know. So on to the next game, whilst drinking gin and Bug is a game that every Saturn owner should always choose. Burning Rangers, now this game is fire! Getting emails the next day was always my desire. I used to love completing this game just to hear the credits song called I Just Smile. I played that song so much. Absolute Saturn nostalgia for me. Amazing game. So glad I played it at the time. This was a game a Saturn owner was proud of because the Saturn was truly showing what it could do for its 3D engines, its lighting, and all that stuff. Oh man, I just love Burning Rangers. Certainly one of my favourite Saturn games. Christmas Nights into Dreams. Got this from a Saturn magazine. Still play it every Christmas as my yearly routine. Clockwork Knight 1 and 2 I enjoyed as early games, but found out later they were meant to be a single game. Command & Conquer before the EA Dark Days is a really good port that's certainly worth a play. Croc. More like a crock of shit. It had potential but its bugs just ruined it. D. Holy Crom. This game was some scary shit at 16 years old. Hell no, I was having none of it. Dark Savior. Now this is a Saga game, original RPG that's still great to play to this day. More like disappointing. I was a huge fan of Daytona in the arcades, but the Saturn version for me was pretty lame. Let me just add to this because I do love the Saturn version of Daytona. I played it loads, but we need to be honest, it wasn't what it could have been, especially when you look at Sega Rally. And yeah, performance wise, I mean, it is one of those few rare games where performance, man, it was hard work. But anyway, Dead or All Alive, this game was super lovely. Like every alpha male, I enjoyed watching them jubblies. Seriously though, this game is amazing on a Saturn. Absolutely amazing. I learned so much about Saturn import games from my Saturn magazines, and Dead or Alive was advertising multiple issues. So it was 100% a game I was always going to get once I got my Japanese Sega Saturn. And if people wanted to argue that this game was better than Virtua Fighter 2, I'd have no arguments because it is up there as peak 3D Saturn fighting, and it's absolutely awesome. But yeah, let's continue. This Derby Stallion I didn't buy individually. It came with my Japanese Saturn, which is also super lovely. I mean, look at this console, people. Just look at it. Destruction Derby, what more could you ask for? Crushing cars in an arena was the game's whole metaphor. Daytona Twin B, I freaking love this game. Poppin' Twin B, the SNES man knows were the days. I say this game, but Daytona Twin B Yahoo is actually 2 games in one. The first being Daytona Twin B, which I'm not overly fond of, and I believe that was just released in the arcades before. And the second being Twin B Yahoo, which I can't recommend enough. Such a good game on a Saturn, a must-play shooter in my opinion. I just love the Twin B series. Anyway, Die Hard Arcade is a Sega Saturn must-play. Its whole gameplay will have you shouting yippee-ki-yay. Die Hard Trilogy, these 3 games are great. Third-person light gun and GTA before GTA. Straight up though, mowing down people in Die Hard 3 in its trilogy was one of my most hilarious experiences on the Saturn. You just absolute carnage, and that's all you would do. You had the time limit to get to the bombs and stuff, but just down alleyways, the amount of NPCs, and they just get mowed down. It's just, oh man, just hilarious. The Discworld games changed my life, but completing the first game I couldn't do without a guide. No, straight up, I used to go into my local game shop and ask to look at the guides, which they kept behind the counter for obvious reasons. It was a little expensive for me to fork out cash for that back in my teens, so I pretend I was interested in the game, quickly flipped to the point at where I was stuck, then handed back saying I wasn't interested. They soon caught on though, and I ended up having to buy the guide. But when I say these games changed my life, I didn't know about Terry Pratchett, I didn't know about the Discworld book series until I actually played these games and I got introduced to those books, and Terry Pratchett became my favourite author of all time. Absolutely amazing. Doom on a Saturn is easy not to call trash, but during that time this game straight up scared my ass. Dragonforce, ooh, got this game in 2003. And it instantly became one of my favourite Saturn games for me. Duke Nukem 3D, hail to the king baby, the graphics at the time made me dance like these ladies.
So, who wants to dance?
Enemy Zero, this game is terror, running down corridors away from unseen horror. Straight up though, I first saw this game in motion on a Saturn demo disc, and seeing the butt-naked FMV moments of Laura made my teenage balls tickle. Let's continue. Exhumed I played at the end of the Saturn's life, but holy by Crom, this game is sublime. Best first-person shooter on the Saturn in my opinion. Metroid Prime before Metroid Prime essentially. The lighting in this game, oh man, it's just absolutely staggering for the Saturn. Absolutely staggering, amazing engine. It's a shame this engine couldn't be just used in even more games, even though it was used in a few. Fatal Fury 3, my boy was Terry Bogard, but I also like to play as Blue Mary, but I don't know why. Yeah. Anyway, Fighters Megamix, this game is the shizzle. Okay, seriously, this game is so good. I might have actually played it more than Virtua Fighter 2, which is saying something. I actually played more as BM in this game, who was the boss in Fighting Vipers, if I remember correctly. But man, the fighter selection, being able to play as the Daytona car was just redonk, and even had Janet from Virtua Cop 2 in there, which is really cool. I also used to crack up at the bear's fighting animation, or lack thereof. It's just hilarious. Anyway, where were we? Fighting Vipers, Ban was my boy. Your mama's rack is what I used to say when punching for joy. Punching people off the elevator in this game is the most satisfying thing in the world. No exceptions, people, no exceptions. Redmobile. I loved this game in the arcades, but shame the Saturn Port's draw distance is pretty lame. Golden Axe Duel is low-key the shizzle. Gilius, Kane, Milan, Yo for shizzle. Guardian Heroes, perfection by treasure, and the Skeletons Warriors Fury was the next level. Gun Griffin. Mission complete. Mega action, that's seriously sweet.
Mission complete.
Hexen, woot! Another Saturn FPS. Dark magic demons this game used to make me stressed. King of Fighters 95 and 96. It's not Street Fighter, but these games are pretty slick. Last Bronx was another game that many people didn't play, but this game stands on its own against the Saturn's other fighting games. Layer Section. This is a control tower. Make a left turn, over. This is the control tower. Make a left turn, over. Funny enough, I have no memory of ever seeing Galactus Attack back in the day. Galactic Attack is is a European name of Layer Section, but Layer Section 2 was in one of my Sega Saturn mags, and I later decided to get the first game and just instantly fell in love with this shoot 'em up. It's an awesome shooter and easily one of my favorite shooters ever. If people actually rated this one of the best shooters ever, I'd understand. Lost Viking 2 from Blizzard's early days. I played this game loads but got stuck to this day. Manx TT in the arcades was cracking, the Saturn version's good but its content is lacking. Marvel Superheroes is straight up boom, hip 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 hurrah is all you hear from my room. Mysteria, man, my first Saturn RPG, grid-based fantasy. This game was just built for me. Just listen to this intro music, people. Just listen to it, just for a second. Nights into Dreams. Okay. Let's hold the wrath for a second to briefly talk about this game. I truly believe if you didn't play this game at the time, then there's just no way you can feel the same way many of us did when you were first engaged in the magic of this game, especially the FMV sequences and the music. FMV was huge back in the day, and Nights had this magic about it that is simply too nostalgic, too special for me to even put into words. I love you, Clarice, and the music. Nights is just one of the best games ever made. Saturn perfection, the feel of flying, just mwah, people, mwah. So what's the first game I have that begins with the letter P? Panzer Dragoon, of course! Panzer Dragoon, this game is truly special. The opening theme is on another kind of level. Flying across lakes, travelling deep through a desert, sandworms, airship, can it get any better? Yes, it bloody well can, people. Panzer Dragoon's 5 took everything from the original, molded it, perfected it. Okay, seriously, if this game isn't in your top 5 Saturn games, then you're messed up in the head. I first saw this game running on a demo disc when I first got my Saturn, and it blew my tiny mind away. To me, this is everything the Sega Saturn was all about. The music, the graphics, the story, the world. Perfection, people. There was nothing on any other console like this game. Absolutely nothing. Let's continue, Laggy. Panzer Dragoon Saga is not only my favourite Sega Saturn game, but I'll still happily say to this day that it's the greatest gaming experience I've ever had. I can't talk about this game now, this video would be 10 hours long otherwise, but all I will say is Quake on a Saturn Madness game was hard. I hated those dogs, they teared up my ass. Radiant Silvergun, this game is perfection. For me, the best shooter on the Saturn, no question. Rayman, oof, I truly loved this game. Graphically, it's gorgeous even still to this day. Resident Evil, I played this more on the Saturn. Battle mode was our one-up against PlayStation fan aggression. Road Rash, man, this game is my jam. The FMV sequences I laugh at every time. Seriously though, I love this game. It got me into music groups like Soundgarden, Paul and Therapy. And I remember grabbing my mountain bike when I was still living at home. I'd wedge a flattened Coke can or Pepsi can on the back of the wheel and fly out to my back garden and sing, "It's cold outside, but I'm not coming home." All the while the can made a motorbike grinding kind of sound on the back wheel. Good times. Road Rash made me want to motorbike, a dream I still haven't achieved to this day, but Road Rash on a Saturn, perfection people, perfection. Saturn Bomberman, my second favourite in the series. Group of friends, multi-tap, this game was a blast. Sega Ages Volume 2, some perfect arcade games, Outrun got played more than any other game. Until the 3DS version came out, this was my favourite port of Outrun, and it's the only version I played. And then the Switch version, from M2 got released, and now it's my favorite version. But the 3DS version is still really good, especially with that 3D effect. But yeah, the original Outrun are easily one of my favorite games ever. Sega Rally Championship, the best racer on the Saturn, no ifs, no buts. This game is perfection. Forget Rig Racer, no one really cares, because Sega Rally always says, "Game over, yeah!" Sega Rally Championship, we could scream to the roof, hear them back. One of the best games, just ever, absolutely ever, and easily one of the best Sega Saturn games. Just literally no contest. This was always, as a Saturn fan, this was always one of our trump cards against Ridge Racer, against any other 3D racing game that was out. This was our crown jewel on the Saturn for racing games. Sega Toy Cars, man, this game was trash. They had me hyped up, but this game sucked ass. Yeah, it's a sweet soundtrack though. Shining Force 3, this game is incredible. Second best RPG on the Saturn, no question. Symbios, Dante, grid-based combat, fantasy, magic, this game is just fat. Once again, note that intro and that music, people, ooh, sexual. Shining the Holy Ark, my second Saturn RPG. Dungeons, first person, man, this was high fantasy. Silhouette Mirage is another treasure classic. The second level music is pretty fantastic. I actually got this game at the same time I got my Japanese Saturn, and I remember seeing it in my Saturn magazines, but I'm not gonna lie, I had no clue how to play this game at first, and it was all in Japanese. But once I understood it, man, I rate this game up there with Mischief Makers on the Nintendo 64. But anyway, SimCity 2000, I played this a ton. Then I call in aliens to cause total destruction. Skeleton Warriors, I barely played this game. The game runs smooth, but the gameplay was pretty lame. Sonic Jam, man, this game has something special, a full 3D Sonic in an open world level. I used to love going into the museums in this game and checking out all the additional content, but funny enough, it was through this game where I got to watch and utterly fall in love with the intro and outro to Sonic CD, a game I never owned and it wasn't in this collection. I love that intro because of Sonic Jam, and I learned both the English and Japanese lyrics to it, man. Just amazing intro. Sonic Boom, Sonic Warrior, Sonic Warrior. You always need a day, you got the power to save the day. Take a little chance, slip on through. You got smart no matter what you do. You gotta do for Sonica, man, wait. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care. This was Saturn's 3D Sonic game, and I utterly loved it. Made me fall in love with TJ Davis, who is the female goddess voice of Sega for me. And if you were a Saturn fan back then, this game was a graphical showpiece, once again showing what the Saturn could do with 3D, and yes, showing that it could do stunning transparencies, people. Yes, the Saturn could do transparencies. Man, I even loved the R logo on the title screen, just flipping that thing around, just the reflections and everything, and the music. Oh man, Sonic R is my jam. And if you weren't there as a Saturn fan, man, forget you. But Sonic R is Crom tier. Can you feel that sunshine, people? I can feel it. Anyway, let's keep going. Sokuru Gorentai is borderline perfection, but you want to know something? I still prefer layer section. Steep So Sliders, this game was alright. It was no 1080, but it still played pretty tight. Street Fighter Alpha 2 is 2D bliss. In my mind, it really doesn't get better than this. Or does it, people? Or does it? Street Fighter Alpha 3 on a Saturn is perfection. In my mind, the best version is simply no question. Is Alpha 3 my favorite 2D fighter ever? Is it my favorite fighting game ever? Yes. Yes, it is, people. This was the game that made me want a Japanese Saturn more than anything else, and the Saturn version is just too good, especially with that D-pad, the dramatic battles and all the stuff. Oh man, I'm so glad I got this game way back then, because you try and get this now, don't bother, play it somewhere else. But the Saturn version, just sublime, absolutely sublime. Super Puzzle Fighter, man, I love this game, better than Columns in every single way. The Horde is a game which I've shown before, a strategy game which I simply adore. Theme Park, oof, this game I played a ton. Building insane roller coasters to kill kids was fun. Tomb Raider, yeah, the real Lara Croft, this game at the time just blew my balls off. The game that made me get a Sega Saturn for Christmas 1996. I saw it being demoed in a game shop by one of the employees there, who soon became a lifelong friend because I went in that shop so much. We really got to know each other, really close friends. Lara Croft's first adventure is still to this day my favourite Tomb Raider game and favourite version of Lara. Truly a staggering adventure for its time, and yes, Lara was my first true gaming crush, and yes, I turned the camera so I could check out her, her figure, yeah. Vampire Hunter and Vampire Savior, my only introduction to the Darksiders flavour. Gallia and Demetrius is who I take into a fight. Lilith, Morrigan, their outfits look pretty tight. International Victory Goal was my first Saturn football game. I don't care what anyone says, I freaking love this game. Virtual Cop 1 and 2, the best liking games. I played these non-stop back in the day. Like I said, you know, in my first Get to Know Clockwork video, I played these games so much that I made a makeshift gun holster out of my original Sega Saturn box, so I could just pull the virtual guns out easier from the, you know, I actually attached it to the side of my TV, you know, and I just felt like a G, you know, whilst doing it, you know, total regret, of course, you know, my poor original Sega Saturn box, but hey, there we go. Virtua Fighter was one of my first Saturn games. Personally, I think it still holds up to this day. An early 3D fighter which blew my mind. Akira was my boy every single damn time. For real though, this game over time is now being chewed up because of how it looks and how it runs and moves, but if you ask me, it's got that classic, incredible early 3D look which has its own eternal style now, similar to Starwing and Super Mario 64. Virtua Fighter deserves all the credit it should get. Amazing port and truly revolutionary at the time, gave us 3D fighters, people. I miss that Sega. Virtua Fighter 2, 3D fighter perfection, Akira, Shun were my main selections. Honestly though, the Saturn version of this game has such a magic to it that I actually preferred it over the arcade version, the way it looks. You know, once again, this is what the Saturn was all about. Yes, the Saturn multiple times brought the arcade home perfectly for me. You know, Crom, I love this game so much, and the reason why I love Shun so much is because obviously he was a drunken master, but I grew up watching kung fu movies with Jackie Chan and Jet Li and Donnie Yen and just all the great Sammo Hung, and you know, some of these guys played the drunken master. Virtual on, what more could you need? Arena based mechs moving at crazy high speeds. Warcraft 2, this game is too special. True high fantasy on every kind of level. I owned Warcraft 2 on both the PC and the Saturn at the same time. And of course the PC version ran better, you know, and all that stuff. We played on Battle.net and everything like that. But man, you know, I think I played Warcraft 2 on my Saturn more. Mostly because I was just comfortable, just lying on my bed and just playing my home console. And Saturn version of Warcraft 2 it's fantastic. And it came with the expansion, you know, Beyond the Dark Port and all that stuff. So it's just, I just love that game. Wing Arms, man, I struggled with this game. It's a good game for sure, but my skills were pretty lame. Winter Heat, yeah, another Saturn gem. High res, high jumps, I played over it again. Wipeout 1 and 2097. Yeah, that's right, people. The Saturn got ports of these games, and although they weren't quite as smooth as the PS1 versions, I think they are great ports and show that the Saturn was getting this kind of third-party support in its height. And I do actually believe these games could have been made to run better, but anyway, you know, that's a whole nother discussion. Anyway, you know, we're close to the end, people. Two more games to go. Can you believe it? Worldwide Soccer 1998, the best year in gaming. I don't care what anyone says. But sticking with this game, the series was amazing. Who needs FIFA when Sega are straight up dealing? So, ending with XMen vs Street Fighter is quite poignant actually, as it was the last major Saturn game I bought for my Saturn games, probably around 2004, 2005, something like that. Unfortunately, although I did play this game quite a bit, I got this game after playing games like Marvel vs Capcom and Marvel vs Capcom 2 on a Dreamcast. You know, obviously plus all of my other 2D fighting games, you know, from the Saturn and PlayStation 1 back then. So going to XMen vs Street Fighter wasn't as impactful for me, whether it's on my Saturn experience or just in 2D fighters, you know, but still, it was one of those games I saw in my Saturn magazine which I knew I just had to get and had to play. So I did, and I have no regrets, you know, a truly stunning game. And once again, this is, I believe this is the best version from back then that you can get, and it's just the whole Marvel versus series, you know, back then, and just the whole 2D Street Fighter games. You know, Capcom were on absolute fire. So yeah, fantastic game. So there we have it. Those are all of my Sega Saturn games. I lived and breathed the system in its height. It's still to this day my second favorite console ever. But you know what? Like I said, sometimes I could easily say it's my personal favorite system ever. But the N64 people, N64. But it's just that era. Just a special time, a special era, and the list of games where many left a long-lasting impact on me and my gaming life. If I ever talk about nostalgia in gaming, then my mind instantly flows into the direction of the Sega Saturn and this era of gaming. Do I own every must-have Sega Saturn game, whether it's PAL or Japanese? No, I do not, and I don't care. I was fortunate enough to experience the Saturn when it was out, get all these memories, enjoy all those games, and have a Saturn experience that many others could only wish for. But anyway, long live the Saturn, people. Just absolutely staggering, amazing console. Absolutely love it. And if I don't have any regrets about games I haven't bought for the Saturn. There were two games that I wished I got at the time. One of them was Deep Fear, which I believe was the last PAL Saturn game to ever release. It was basically like a Resident Evil clone. You were on a submarine underwater. I remember going into the game shops, seeing that game on the shelf, and just never having a desire to go pick it up, even though I read about it in Saturn magazines and stuff. They were obviously pushing it as a Saturn's Resident Evil, even though we had Resident Evil, but we didn't get Resident Evil 2. But I just didn't think it looked that good. And you try and get that game now, it's too expensive, so just don't even bother. And I can't have any real regrets about it because I got no experience with it. So I don't essentially miss it. I just kind of wish I kind of at least tried it back then. And the other game is Riven, which was the sequel to Myst. Myst I played on the PC. And that's another game where I kind of wish I played at the same time on the Saturn, a bit like I did with Atlantis. But you know what, that's a game I can easily pick up on PC and still have a great experience with it if I really love it. So I got no real desire to run out and try and get a Saturn version if it was affordable. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video and seeing my games. This is my first collection video. I hope it didn't go on for too long. But of course, I'll do other collection videos. I try and make them fun and unique as possible as I can. But let me know your thoughts on the Sega Saturn, people. Did you ever play it? Did you ever experience it? Were you a PlayStation fan, an N64 fan? Did you completely skip the Saturn? You know the drill. For me, Sega at their creative heist, people. Love this console. Always have. Always will. Take care, everyone. Peace.